Today I want to talk to you about safe boxes and safe escapes. I've seen safe boxes and safe escapes used back when I was a kid in the 60s on different family members' farms and friends' farms. And I haven't seen it done so much recently, and I don't hear people talk about it, so I thought I'd talk about it here, seeing as it came up recently in conversation. I recently obtained a mini donkey that I'm going to put in with my horse, and I got various input on that. I got people that said, well, you can never put a mini in with a horse, and then I got other people that say, well, I've done it for many years and not had a problem. And I myself have had a goat in with my horse for 10 years and not had an issue. Now, safe boxes and safe escapes won't guarantee that you won't have an issue. You can have an issue come up between two horses of the same size. One kicks the other one in the head and then you have a problem. You can't all out prevent injuries, but if you are going to put a mini in with a bigger animal, or a small goat or something in with a bigger animal, then check out what safe boxes are all about, because if you're going to do it and you decide to do it, this might be a safer alternative to not doing it. You'll find great controversy over whether you should put a mini or a smaller animal in with a big horse. And you'll hear both sides. You'll hear some people say, oh, it's safe, and then other people, no, never do it. And I don't want to influence you in either way to make that decision. It's your decision to make. However, if you're going to make that decision, I would recommend that you create safe boxes or safe escapes for the smaller animal. For the 10 years that my goat has been with my horse, my goat has had what is called safe escapes. My goat can go underneath the gate or many portions of the fence all the way around and get out of the horse's area. The goat has safe escapes. She doesn't have a specific box. Under this whole entire fence all the way around, pretty much she can fit underneath that fence, but especially underneath the gate. There's some areas of the fence where little mounds of dirt are in the way, but she can get under most of it. Inside there's also the stall wall is raised up even higher than this, and she can go under that also to get out. There are areas inside the stall where the goat can go underneath the stall wall in two separate places and escape out of the stall. This is a safe escape that's inside the barn. This is just inside the barn door, and I can fit under there and get out. And that's what the goat uses if the goat wants to get out of the stall. There's also a section of stall wall that's high enough that she can also get out on the other side. As you can see my horse's feet underneath there to see how high that is. That's on the other side of the stall. Now imagine when you're a kid and say you're an older sibling to a younger child, and the younger child keeps coming in your room and it's bouncing on the bed and dropping down on the floor and knocking your whatever on the floor and messing up your computer, and you're trying to talk on the phone and they're like, yeah, all behind you, and you just can't stand them. Imagine what that would be like if the door to your room was locked and you couldn't get rid of that little kid. You would go nuts. You would probably at some point get very aggressive with him and to make him stop doing what he's doing. Well, you can have the same situation where you have the little mini in with the big horse, and if that horse starts to get aggressive with the mini because he can't get rid of him, then it can get ugly. But if you have safe escapes or safe boxes where the animal can leave that horse's area, leave the bedroom so to speak, and go to their own area, then it can dissipate without the aggression escalating to a point where it could be dangerous. And on the other side too, if you have a mini and a horse both in the same area, especially if it's not a really big area, and the mini can't leave and go to his own room, he's going to be more likely to antagonize the big one because there's really not much else to do. So if he can't leave, then he doesn't have that option either, and it'll escalate his behavior. And safe boxes can be used to feed the smaller animal in also. If you put the smaller animal's portion of hay into its safe box, the smaller animal can go in there and eat its own hay, drink its own water, and come back into the bigger animal's area whenever it feels like, but the bigger animal can't go into that smaller animal's area and take his hay. So you can be guaranteed that the smaller one is getting its correct portion of food and that the bigger one's not hogging it and taking it all away. I have two examples of safe boxes that you can create if you're going to put a smaller mini or a goat in with a bigger animal. The first one is, they're both good if you already have a paddock already built, but it's easier if you don't, if you're building it. The solid line on the outside is fencing that is strong enough to hold both in. It's not an electric fence, it's some kind of solid fence. Then on the inside where the dotted line is, you've got another fence that is raised up high enough that the smaller animal can go under, and it's still safe for the bigger animal. And it's tall enough that the bigger animal can't get into this outer space out here. So if a problem occurs at any time, the smaller animal can exit into that safe area, into the safe box, and the bigger animal can't follow it. Now the opposite of that is the same outer solid fencing, but you have a smaller box in the middle. And in this case, the smaller animal can go into it from any angle, but they're going into it instead of out to it. And it depends on what kind of area that you have as to which one that you would use. Now, you'd want to have a safe box situation out in the paddock for the smaller animal. You also want to have it up in the stall also. You want them to be able to exit the stall too in the same way. What I have set up for my goat is fencing that is solid. It's round pen panels, and I have to move those panels with a four-wheeler. They're so heavy. But the rails on it are high enough that the goat can go under them, and she can go under the gate also. And she has two safe boxes up in the barn to go into. But there's no outer fencing on this because the goat is allowed to just wander around the farm once she exits his area. Now, because the donkey is taller than the goat and we don't want the donkey wandering around the property, we're going to have to create separate safe box situations for him than what the goat has here. And we'll put them in two different places on the outside and at least one place on the inside. The one on the inside, I plan to create a whole stall for him that's all his own, but that he can go into and out of Chap's stall also if he decides to. Here's some pictures of my little mini donkey. His name is Dominic. We tried out calling him Dominic and Dom because that's the name he came with, but he didn't seem to really know that that was his name. And one day I said, "Hey, Junior!" And he just snapped right around and came to life and looked at me. So I've been calling him Junior, but technically his name is Dominic. He was in a little bit of rough shape when I got him. He had runny eyes and runny nose, and he had patches of bare skin, and he was itchy and pulling on himself. And the skin's starting to clear up. He's got 5 o'clock shadow on the bare spots, and the eyes aren't runny any longer, and the nose isn't running, and he's putting on some weight. And we're going to worm him tomorrow, and we're waiting on the vet. The vet's going to be here in 2 weeks to tell us whether he's going to be able to go in with my horse or if he's going to have to wait longer. And I'll update you later.